Good afternoon. I should have worn my sunglasses here. I feel like I'm welding. Do we have any shareholders out there? All right, excellent. Thank you for your support. And we're going to make you very happy here in the next year. Our forward-looking statement. Let's just quickly go over our business model. We take a three-pronged approach to our business model, which is royalty. The first arm of that is royalty generation. So basically, it's modified prospect generation. So we started out as a prospect generator 20 years ago. And every time that we sold a project into the market, we always held back a royalty. And so that organic process we continue to execute, and that continues to be the core of the generation of our royalty portfolio. Then we supplement that with royalty acquisition. So when we can find royalties at favorable pricing valuations, then we'll buy those. Of course, it's become a very competitive landscape out there, so we're very selective on what we do buy. It has to be deep value because we're simply not going to overpay like many of our peers are willing to do. And then strategic investment. So if we find a project within a company that we think stands a significant chance of producing a very outsized return, yet that company is grossly under-recognized in the market, we may invest directly into that company. I think some of you will probably recall our Malmish project in Far East Russia that we were involved in through Energeo Resources. They had a very large copper gold discovery going there. We put $11 million in that over a space of 7 years. And then we helped bring them to a monetizing event. That project that we helped facilitate the sale of brought $200 million, and our take on that was $69 million. So we turned 11 into $69 million, and we're looking to do that again. We're currently involved in a cobalt, nickel, copper PGE project in Botswana, and we think this could be another winner for us, so keep your eyes on that one. This is our global asset portfolio. We currently have, I believe it's about 255 mineral properties around the world that we're involved with to some degree. Most of these are ours. We're on every continent except for Antarctica, and I believe we're in 15 countries right now. Our areas of largest interest are Fennoscandia, so we have a lot of properties in Sweden, Norway, and then a handful in Finland also, and also in the western United States and in eastern Canada. This just kind of shows you our way things are divided up in terms of assets, commodities, and geographic scale. We just took a look at where we are geographically. Commodity-wise, about 60% of our properties are what we would call gold properties. That doesn't mean they're just exclusively gold, but that's probably the primary metallic commodity that is found there, followed by copper. We're big into copper, battery metals, so that would be nickel, cobalt, and so on. But then also copper is a battery metal itself, and then lead, zinc, silver, so base metals. And then asset class. So about half of our properties are royalty properties, and then the other half are available assets that we're looking for new, well-funded homes to advance those properties for us. This is our ownership. So about 12% of the company is owned by EMX employees, directors, and management, so we have a lot of skin in the game. We're heavily incentivized to perform. SSR Mining, we bought a significant portfolio of royalty projects from them about 2 years ago, and with that, they bought a large number of our shares to help cover that. And then Stevens Asset Management, they're based out of San Francisco. That's Paul Stevens. He was the guy who took Apple and Cisco Systems public, so he's a very successful venture capitalist, and this is one of his biggest investments. Along with his family members, his 2 sons and his grandchildren and his wife, they probably hold about 15% of our shares. And then Franco-Nevada. So Franco-Nevada made an investment with us just over a year ago. They now own just over 6% of our shares. And this is the first time that Franco-Nevada has ever bought shares in a junior royalty company. So, and that is a very powerful validation and endorsement of not only our business model, but our management. And then Sprott, this is Sprott Inc., has about 5.2% of our shares. Those are in funds. And then Newmont holds about 4.5% of our shares. They're also a big customer of ours for gold properties. And then Adrian Day Asset Management. And then also out of Annapolis, Maryland. And then also U.S. Funds holds about 1% of our shares. And then the Pacific Gold Fund, Peter Schiff's fund, owns about 1.5% of our shares. Euro Pacific Gold Fund, that's what it is. Recent deals, Franco-Nevada, like I just said, owns about 6% of our shares. First time and only time Franco-Nevada's ever owned shares in a junior resource company. We also had a long-standing lawsuit with VRIC that was finally settled last year. That dropped $25 million Canadian into our treasury. That was significant. We finally got that lawsuit behind us. We're about royalties. We're not about lawsuits, so it's good to get that wrapped up. And then very significantly, in the past 4 years, we've been able to sell 87 of our projects and thereby create 87 royalties on properties in just 4 years. So as prospect generators go, that's probably more than the rest of the prospect generators combined have sold. So, we're very prolific at this, and we continue to execute that. And then recently we received a $4 million Canadian milestone payment from Arizona Sonora Copper as a milestone payment when they came to a resource that they announced as they advanced that toward production. And of course, then we would capture a production royalty on that. This is one of our big royalties right here, Caserones, which I pronounce Cacherones. When we first bought this, they projected the mine life at 17 years. And over a short period of time, then they announced that they had been performing a lot of additional engineering and exploration, and they expanded that mine life out to 28 years. So that extended mine life, of course, came at absolutely zero cost to EMX royalty. And that's a graphic example of why we own royalties and why we're not a mining company. And in the first 3 quarters, because we haven't reported the fourth quarter yet, that has paid us out $6.8 million Canadian. And that came out of the SSR mining portfolio that I alluded to earlier. And then Gediktepe. So this is in Turkey. This is a VMS system with a gold and silver oxide cap on top. So the gold and silver oxide cap on top, we have a 10% NSR on that. And then on the sulfide body below that, that's a polymetallic system, we have a 2% royalty on that. So the gold silver oxide cap will be largely mined out in about 2 years. And then it'll tail off in the following 2 years, and then they'll get into the sulfide ore body. But we've received our first royalty check in June and July of $2.4 million. And then, so this doesn't pay out on a monthly basis. They wait till they get a big slug of ore and then send that to the smelter, because I think that's done by contract, a contract smelter. And then when that comes out of there, then we'll get paid. So we get paid in irregular intervals, but those are going to be big checks when they come in. So this is going to be a really great ATM for us going forward. Moving on to Leeville. This is a property we've held for a number of years. This is completely paid for and amortized out. We have a 1% gross smelter royalty here. You're looking at the turf vent shaft there that costs $300 million to put in by Newmont. And keep in mind, that's just a vent shaft. So Newmont spent over $300 million putting in a vent shaft. You know there's an awful lot of additional mineralization down there to be exploited. So they're going to be mining this probably long after I'm off this earth. And that paid us $2.9 million in 2022. And then Balya, this is a lead zinc silver mine. This is our first organic royalty that has gone into production. We just received the first royalty check on that back in October. That was about $100,000. And as this continues to ramp up, this will be a real cash cow for us, and this will be this will pay for years and years and years to come.